Hey, what's up? HeadsUpSingo.com. It's Hokie. In this video, I'm going to be reviewing against a fish that I played on Revolution Network maybe a month ago. I'm going to start off by just kind of going over some of the frequencies on the coffee HUD that kind of stand out to me where this guy is being really exploitable, which is for this guy pretty much everywhere. He hasn't raised a button yet over 21 hands at 12 big blinds and higher. Limping mostly and actually folding a decent amount too. And as you can see, he's limp trapping some, obviously, which is expected. And not playing, incredibly wide out of position. We can probably assume, 8 hands at deeper stack. He's folded half of them, so he's probably not too out of line. No 3-bets yet. So basically, my adjustment in position. For myself in position, just going to be raising a bunch of buttons, definitely not folding any buttons. I'll be opening probably 85 to 90%, and then the bottom 10 to 15% of hands I definitely think are going to have a better expectation either as a raise or a limp than folding. I prefer to probably limp until I have a bigger sample and see what he's doing. He really hasn't folded to a lot of C-bets yet. Like, if he had folded to more C-bets, I might be considering just raising 100% since he's not 3-betting me. But that's a 1 of 6, 17%. So not a huge sample, but I think as long as you're not folding a button versus someone that has stats like this, you're doing pretty good. Out of position. Obviously he's not raising buttons, so he's not giving me opportunity to do a whole lot pre-flop. But I think the one thing that probably stands out to me is like a lot of the guys that I coach will say like they want to attack the limp and not allow your opponent to limp and stuff, which I think tends to be a misconception. Anytime, for the most part, most of our opponents when they limp against us, they're kind of doing us a favor. They're allowing us to realize expectation with a bunch of hands that we would just fold to a pre-flop raise usually. If our opponent is limping most of his buttons are limping a lot, and we're raising most of our buttons, it's gonna be pretty hard for him to be doing very well versus us. So I don't think you want to just necessarily punish the limp, but just make the highest expectation play in each spot. So otherwise, the only other stat that kind of stands out to me initially is his limp C-bet. He hasn't stabbed out of 5 times when check 2 in a limp pot. So I'm going to be leading out limped more than I normally would. I would normally be checking with most of my range on a lot of boards. But this is a pretty good spot normally. This is a board where I would be leading typically as a standard versus a weak player. I just think it's a spot where you lead, half pot on the flop, and I think most people are going to fold anything that has no equity, which is there's definitely enough hands considering how much we're risking. So small bet. I don't think you need to bet any bigger than that, and obviously good turn card for us, and I think there's definitely some value here. Pretty standard.